Hi, everybody. I'm Toby from Encore Design. We're here again to talk about things relating to MCP and MCP apps. I'm going to pass over to Ray.
Hey, I'm Ray Deck from StateChange.ai, and really excited to be here today to learn more about to get to review another very cool ChatGPT app with you, JC. And can't wait to get into it. So I'll pass the ball over to you.
Hey everyone, thank you Ray and Toby. I'm JC, product designer and developer, and most of my time today, these days, is spent on reviewing what makes a great ChatGPT app or MCP app. So today I got one that I think is quite surprising in many fronts. So we are gonna get into it, and that is Udemy's ChatGPT app. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're gonna get into our framework. So the way we've been doing this, basically since we started our research, is we've been looking at the ChatGPT apps through the lens of what we're calling modes of work, right? So it seems like users, when they are interacting with that ChatGPT app or MCP app for that matter, they are in either one of these modes or in a sequence of all these modes. So just to go through this again and do a refresher, we're talking about explore. So I'm in exploratory mode. I might not know what I want or I need yet. So let me see what's available and what can I do with this app. Then we have the constraint mode. I have a certain set of rules. I have a preference, and then I'm trying to constrain the app to do or to serve a certain thing for me. Then I might go into compare mode. So I have set my rules, and now I want the app to give me different options to help me make a decision on whether I need to create, which would be the next mode, create something for me, make something for me, or commit, which is just asking the app to basically perform an action. We've seen different use cases for both of these or one or the other with different ChatGPT apps. So for example, in Spotify, if we think about the use case we reviewed, it was around creating a playlist for me based on my preferences. If we think about, for example, Lovable, we wanted Lovable to commit to basically giving me the control over my website that I had created through the chat. And then we have this other defer or handoff mode of work, which what we are seeing is this really depends on the app and the use case, but it is basically when the ChatGPT app talks or hands off the experience and the outcome to the other servers of the product. So again, in the case of Lovable, for example, that would be handing off the experience to the Lovable website where the user can continue using the product. So this is a bit of a gray area in how and this how we're seeing ChatGPT apps are behaving in today, but it's an interesting one because it'll make the connection make sense for the whole product. So just a bit of a refresher. Now we're gonna go into today's app, which is Udemy. So I think we're gonna start by, again, if we get back here, we're gonna try to explore, right? So what better use case than this for Udemy? So I wanna learn, I don't know, what do we wanna learn? Toby and Ray, what are you feeling like learning
How
today?
about learn about MCP apps? Is that current? Is that giving enough content on that? It'd be interesting to see.
Oh, let's see. I wanted to learn about MCP
Might be a little bit too
apps.
new.
Yeah, maybe let's to create MCP apps.
Yeah.
So at this point, again, I have a broad topic, and I'm surfacing my need to the app. It is doing, in this case, what I expect. It is giving me different options, and now that I think the interesting part becomes apparent here. We can see several differences with the other apps that we have reviewed. I think what they do is, well, first of all, they do a great job at combining both the UI and the LLM response. So it feels like it is thoughtfully combined, and they make sense together. This is something that we see in the best ChatGPT apps today. Now, if we double click on the UI widget itself, we see there are several things happening, things that we haven't seen before in other reviews. So one is, it's not just a carousel. So it's not just a carousel of different cards. It is a different pattern. So it's just a vertically stacked list, which seems like a good choice if you're going to show something on the right side of it. Again, keeping in mind the constraint of the little space there is here in the widget. So I already find this interesting. It's a different way to interact with a list and a detail on the same view. So it's not, in other cases, we see like you have a list, then you click on it or you interact with it, and then you navigate to the detail. In this case, they chose a different sequence, a different arrangement, which I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, we, of course, see the main CTA already visible right away, which is, again, something that we've seen in some of the best ChatGPT apps. There's one clear action that the app wants the user to take. In this case, of course, is learn more about this course or the person behind it. And then the most, I would say, surprising part here is the video player. So it seems very well integrated within the UI. And I mean, it works pretty well. And then there's also something else, which is the moment I hit play, it just stayed on top. So I think this is so now it is fixed at the top of my chat. So I think this is really, I haven't seen this in other GPT apps. I think it's a really great choice of UX here.
If you stop it, can you make it go full screen? I thought it was a full screen. Or if you close this, close the pop-up and then go back. Is that what it was doing? Was it like on? Oh, it was different. Oh, actually, that's what it is. So that's the choice. It's basically becoming a pop-up or staying in line. Okay. Interesting. That is cool. They did a really good job with this, actually. This is the best one of the best I've seen in terms of doing this sort of thing.
I think it's
Nice.
it feels like so I think this is where they just went one step further and integrated with the whole environment. So it doesn't feel like it's just something happening in its own little world within the UI widget. It is really integrated within the.
The one thing that I've seen in other ones that were quite good, where it kind of knew where it was in the video, so you could kind of watch a video, get some, and then ask a question about it. And so what would happen is, when you asked a question, it knew what the timestamp was of the video, to be able to look up from the transcript what I was talking about, and was able to give you more context based on what you just listened to. I don't know if they do it here, but that was the other, because one of the things I'm always I'm really interested in is, how do you make it really leverage the context? And how do you take content from these apps and then bring it into the context? Because so much of these things are like, it's just like context, there's something completely orthogonal to the context, come back in, carry on. But I really feel the power of this is going to come from when what you do is completely interwoven within the context, back in and out. And that's the thing that I really look for. I mean, I think they've done a great job with the UI, but what I would love to see is this kind of context interplay going on. Well, that's why I find it really interesting. So I'd be curious to see, maybe, well, if you can play a bit of the video and then ask, what does he mean by that, or something, so see if it actually can do that, because that would be pretty clever if it could do that.
Right. So we can try that. Asking something about this specific video, right? So what do you mean?
Or
Well, it's actually what he's.
Yeah.
Take on, right?
I was just gonna say, like, this right now is shopping for the course. Yeah, let's totally ask, like, can we learn anything about what's going on inside the video? My suspicion, Toby, about like what we're looking at right here is that this is just course shopping, right? And what we have access to are the the summaries of the courses, and that's what you'll be able to interrogate in here. I do think what you're describing is really good as like a way to make the actual experience of being in the course more valuable, right? Like being able to interrogate the video and then have it come back to, all right, well, this seems to be the clip that you're really looking for here. And or here are 5 clips I think are relevant in the context of the video, right? So we'd skip to those points. Right. So what this does is, right now I think we're looking at is Udemy as shopping, right? It's as a catalog of courses, and what we're interrogating is the catalog. And then there's going to be a separate issue of, well, Udemy as library, right? And being able to interrogate the library to be able to get more value from it in the context of your ChatGPT. And I think that's a really cool point, Toby. Actually, I'm curious whether are you actually right now a Udemy customer, JC? Like,
No.
do you have? Okay, yeah.
Nope. And it didn't ask me for authentication, so I'm guessing they're just restricting the app to be a catalog for shopping, for course shopping.
Yep.
I mean, at 1 minute 18, I guess it's 1 minute 18. So I'm guessing these are just like trailers for the videos, rather than being the actual content itself. It says something like, "Can you explain what the Zoltan said in the video?"
I mean, I would be surprised if it.
I'd be very surprised. We try things, right? That's our purpose. We're pushing the edges to figure out like where the boundaries are on these things.
Yeah. It's calling the tool, getting the course content, of course, and so it's telling me, what it explains in the video, which is very valuable, but
it can do it.
It is not
getting
to that next level. Yeah.
I love that classic AI writing,
right? It's basically knows to watch the video, but not what I actually saw. I mean, it's interesting. It's obviously trying to do something around this.
Yeah, it's cool. Can we just click on learn more? Can we just confirm our thesis that like the CTA is an injection?
Yeah.
Okay, that's exactly what we thought was. That's cool. So for this is a common, e-commerce pattern that we're seeing in ChatGPT apps, right? Where you have some exploration. This is basically a variation on the carousel that we've seen before. To your point, it's just a more of a classic master detail view, right? Of the list on the left and then like the detail on the right. I also thought it was a little bit interesting that like when you have the scrollable thing on the left inside a widget, it actually is more janky. So like I think one of the advantages we've seen of the carousels when they go left to right is they're not competing with the scroll of the rest of your chat experience, right? So like so navigation doesn't have that competition part. Whereas here, when you scroll down more, you start scrolling the rest of the screen as well. Yeah. And then which gets to be a little confusing. The other thing I noticed about this from a UX point of view is how having the overlay is cool because it fixes it. And I've seen this like with map-based tools too, like the classic Zillow example from the original ChatGPT app demonstrations had this going on. It had a similar UX challenge, which is which is there's so little space, right, for the actual conversation part. And this gets into the ChatGPT text wanting to be verbose. And because it wants to be verbose, plus you want to have room for being able to continue the conversation at the bottom, plus the fact the whole thing is vertical, which means that your thing is blocking you on the top, means that there's just a lot less space for being able to comprehend what's going on in the text. Which is, I think, a challenge that we're all still working with here, right? And I think ChatGPT historically has tried to use white space in order to reduce the wall of text effect, with a little bit of back and forth of how much do I make people scroll, how much do I make people look at like giant, long paragraphs or whatever. But then when you combine that with a UX element like this, it creates a little bit of a challenge, especially when it's in the pinned mode like this. Like, let's get it out of pinned mode for a second. And then, yeah, scroll up a little bit. Did we make it go away? There it is. Right. So now the fact that it scrolled away is not perfect, but at least it's in line with the rest, right? It's not competing with the text. And that becomes, I think, it's a UX trade-off, right? I'm not sure there's a good answer on either side of this. But it is, but I think it's a challenge we all need to think about when we're working with this. The other pattern I've seen is that the fact that like text is coming out below is cool, but if we're going to be in a position where we're pinning the thing, then really the main experiences we're going to have are going to be the ChatGPT app as a widget, plus your ability to enter text. The little bit of text window we've got between these two things is just too small in most practical use cases, right? And as a result of that, I'm expecting that people are going to you probably need to have it that you are able to type your text and then have an effect on the widget, right? On a more direct basis, so that you're having more of your experience in there until you're ready to continue on with the text in an environment where you want to be keeping this thing in focus. I mean, contrast that with some of the other examples we've seen where it's basically an elicitation, right? To use a sort of a fancy user experience design word, where an elicitation is usually blocking, right? So the idea of, hey, here you are, you're making a decision, and then you move on, which didn't have that kind of problem. Here, because it's video and because video takes time, right? The idea of having it stick around for a while creates an interesting new UX challenge that I think is, still out there that is pending to be solved. And that might be something to give more thought to.
Very, very good points. I think, again, it is working within the constraints that building a ChatGPT app has, right? So it might be that we start to see other patterns emerging that tackle these specific UX problems. So, for example, I'm thinking, why, if I wanna pin it, why? To your point, why is it blocking me the view here? Maybe it would be better to have it here as a small window. Again, maybe there's some technical constraint to that. So I think as more people and developers start playing around with pushing the limit here, I think we'll start seeing way more interesting things.
Ooh, that's a good point. Which is that if we were doing this entirely native to ChatGPT and you're saying, hey, if we were saying go make me a presentation or make me a document, the way ChatGPT would do this natively, right, with its artifacts, would be to use left, right.
Yeah.
Right. They would take the chat, they'd move over to the left, and then you'd have the artifact more on the right, which right now is not available to us through MCP apps, right? Because MCP apps are all part of that central flow. But it stands to reason that the main way people experience this stuff is through either ChatGPT or Claude, and I've used Gemini, and Gemini has basically the same kind of flow. That having that as an extension, right, to MCP apps. So, hey, what this really should be is treated as an artifact that's over on the right, as opposed to being something that's overlaid. Could drive a lot of value, and among other things, it would have an impact on the shape and aspect ratio of it, right? Because right now this is like a 9:16, classic HD monitor, aspect ratio thing. But if you're going to be doing left right, it would be more tall than it is wide, right? Which makes it more of a phone-ish type aspect ratio for that part to work. I mean, that's all very speculative, of course, but what this shows is if you want to have something in context all the time, having it float over the top and take up real estate like this, I appreciate it. It's a limitation we have today, but is it a good limitation? And that might guide us towards how the whole standard can be better tomorrow.
And then we're not even thinking about mobile here, which raises a lot other.
Yeah, we should really look at these things in mobile because I mean the pinning and the full screen is also there. It'd be interesting to see how they've adapted for that format as well. That's a great point.
This is awesome, JC. Thank you so much for sharing this with us today. I totally agree with Toby. Like this is one of the most beautiful ones we've looked at so far. It's really cool to see. And I kind of wonder like how much of this is like a result of looking at one app versus another, and how much of this just us getting to see these people updating in real time.
Yeah.
Right. And and as we come back to some of these other apps, like how much better they get, day over day, week over week, because it's such a fast moving space.
Excited to see more of this coming up.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys. See you in the next one.
Thank you, gents. See you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.